The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Thursday, the 6th day of May, 2021. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House One Communications and Lindos. I'm Jamel Hartman, along with Carla Zool. Thanks for making us part of your daily routine. If you're watching online, share that link. If you're on Facebook, start the watch party. If you're on Twitter, please retweet it. You're on channel 82 or listening on the Full 100 radio station, call someone up, let them know we're on. Just get the conversation out there to your network, and don't forget to like and engage with us. Today, we're going to actually talk about a few things. We want to touch on, I don't know if anyone's heard about what's happening in the Olympics. It seems like it's pretty much the norm since 1968 when the brothers put up their fist. But we're going to be discussing that. We'll also take a deeper look into an article written by former OBA Senator and candidate Vic Ball. So you don't want to miss those conversations. If you haven't seen them, just type them in Google. Daily Play is a name that place, so Carla will be apologizing to her geography teacher again today. You know how that goes.
Listen, you make me want to go swimming. You look so pinky today. I love it.
Oh, I mean, you are on a beach, aren't you?
I know what you look like, a big lump of beach sand.
Oh, okay.
No, the color looks good on you. Give us a like, guys, if you like Jamel looking all handsome in his pink today. It takes away from your facial area. Good morning.
You know, go ahead. Rub it in. Go ahead. Keep going. Keep going. Because by the end of this show, there is a daily play, and I'm pretty sure we'll be getting you back. Yeah, we'll be getting you back. Look, before we even get started, so there's a press conference today?
Yes, this evening.
What do you think's gonna be said? Like, do you think they're gonna like relax all the stuff? Because there was only, I think, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, audience, I think I came across something. There were two cases yesterday, two positive cases?
Two positives, yeah. 2 or 5. One of those numbers is standing out. Yeah, I think it was 2.
Okay.
I don't know. What I think is going to happen versus what should happen for me are two different things. I think Premier is going to open the economy up as such because so many people are suffering and they've been so vocal about it. And I mean, if the numbers going low, I think if he did not open up, he would be opening up himself to even further criticism because it's like, hey, these numbers are really low. So why can't we go back to doing hair and, other services that have been closed shops because of this stage? However, are you getting into a false low of security? With these numbers, are they going to stay low? So it's so many variables, but I guess nothing beats an effort but a try. 2 weeks from Sunday, so another week, will there be, and I don't mean to pick on the protesters, but will there be a spike in positives as a result of the protest last week? Just being devil's advocate.
She said, I don't mean to pick on the protesters.
I don't.
Real quickly, obviously, we did have some road fatalities, so that want to send a huge love, comfort, and condolences to the family, friends, and entire community, to the loved ones of the deceased. So Very always sad to report fatalities. And I will say that, no amount of words can change the way people feel at this time. So, yeah, very, very sad times. Real quickly on my shirt before we get into the conversation. So, we use green screens, folks. So my stupid ass, nice ironed out shirt, right? It wasn't necessarily green, almost turquoise. So I came in studio earlier, sat down.
I know where you're going.
I couldn't figure out why I could only see my face. I couldn't see anything else. And then it hit me. The shirt is near green, Jamel. So that's kind of how you got to see me in the pink shirt today, because I legit and thank you, Bobby. We appreciate you. We appreciate you, Kathy, as well.
But Mal, Jamal and I have this joke, right? Where I'm always like, sometimes we think so much alike. I always tease him and say, same brain. I just have to master peeing on a tree, right? So this morning I had this shirt I wanted to wear and it was green and I didn't even give it a thought. I put the shirt on and couldn't see anything. And I was like, darn. So look, we did the same thing and didn't even know it. That's why I've got on a black shirt today.
And crazy, right? Because I'm here, folks, honestly, to really let you in. I'm here adjusting like the settings and the lighting, and I'm thinking like, what? And it just hits me. I'm like, come on, bruh. Come on. But look, all that to say, we all mess up. You know what I'm saying? We all make mistakes. We all get it a little wrong every now and then. So yeah, that's our story. But want to get into some things. You know what? Let's start with the Olympics. Not sure if you all know, but the 2020 Olympics, that it's still being called, is supposedly taking place this summer, right, in Tokyo. And Olympics bans, the title to this article that I found is out of Austin, Texas. It says, Austin bans Black Lives Matter apparel could punish athletes for social protest. First off, let me just ask you all, the audience, right? Let me ask you all, how do you feel about the Olympics banning social protest? Do you agree with it? Yes or no? Do you agree with, I know a lot of people have issues with athletes, like people like LeBron James, speaking up on social issues. What's the saying? Shut up and dribble and so on. Not so much that, but how do you feel about the Olympics, basically? And I think this has been a policy for a while, but the Olympics banning social protests from taking place during the Olympics this summer. You seem eager, Carla.
Well, I've watched many shows, especially when it's to do with reggae and the influence and Black artists and the influence that they have in Tokyo. So I find it a bit hypocritical. It's like, okay, you want to emulate the culture when it works for you, but then you don't want this. And I know it's the Olympic Committee as such, but I still feel a bit of hypocrisy there. Along with the Black Lives Matter, it was like no kneeling, no fists, and it was something else. And I was just like, what a way to muzzle people. If it's peaceful, forgive me for not remembering the gentleman's name, but the imagery stands out in the 70s or late 60s when the gentleman
Tommy Smith and John Carlos of the US,
when they did that. Like, that's iconic. It didn't disrupt anything. So what's the big deal with people taking a quiet action? So I do have a problem with it.
Yeah, what she's referring to is US athletes Tommy Smith and John Carlos both raised their fists in the Black Power salute to express their opposition to racism in the USA during the US national anthem after receiving their medals on October 17, 1968 for first and third place in the men's 200 meters event at the Mexico Olympic Games. But the Olympics, according to this article on WTF.com, will continue to ban athletes and could punish athletes who choose to protest anyway. That means raising a fist or kneeling, right? Let me give my opinion real quickly. Or kneeling during the national anthem, as professional U.S. athletes have done over the past year, risk punishment. Here's the thing. Around the world, people continue to say, oh, they're going about it the wrong way. I recently just said something on my personal Facebook the other day about, every time there's a protest, people want to be out. People that have never protested a day in their life, never had to protest or stand up or fight for anything a day in their life, want to say, but they're going about it the wrong way. How is kneeling or raising a fist any of that? What I don't get the problem. What is wrong with that? It's not harming anybody. It's for the life of me, it seems like one of the greatest forms of control. And so for me, I hope that every athlete, because I think if the U.S. women go, Megan Rapinoe, she's been very outspoken and active in kneeling. I hope that every athlete with a conscience does what they need to put egg on the face of these people.
I think it's a better way to be in the history books, personally. You know, people win medals every day, but how often do people stand up for things and really resonate? I just felt like, wow, muzzled. You
Yeah.
know, how can you say in one breath, like, this is an international event that embraces everyone, but yet certain people, and I don't even mean necessarily Black people, but certain people can't express themselves in a peaceful way?
Carmen Mitchell Jones says, I always think about John Carlos and Tommy Smith losing their medals. Teresa Stewart, is it a private organization committee? They can do as they please. So I agree. If that's the case, and that's where the athlete, we need to understand our power. You know, I always say folks need to understand their power. No different with the athletes. The athletes need to understand their power. They need to say, you know what? These Olympics would not go on or exist without us. You know, it's like golf, Tiger Woods, without Usain Bolt and Michael Phelps over those years, they made the Olympics exciting. I'm not quite sure who the athletes are this time around, but you know what? If you're that, you know, gung-ho, and we honestly know it's not going to happen necessarily, because we saw the NFL, how many people really rode with Kaepernick, right? And those who did, they got punished. Phil Trot, Carla.
I find it funny that people put more effort in stopping athletes from protesting than addressing the issues that they are protesting about.
This is it. Like,
see, I'm petty. I know it would never happen, but I would be like, okay, everyone that's doing 100, because everybody watches the 100 in Olympics, right? Let's all lock arms and walk, or let's all kneel together. Call me idealistic, but that would be something to see and make a very loud statement.
The only thing about that is, you know full well not every participant agrees with the protest. Some of them are beneficiaries of this stuff that we're being protesting against.
They'll be like, okay, and they'll take off and win that medal.
You feel what I'm saying? Like, yeah, we're kneeling at the starting line, and before you know it, I'm coming back. I'm coming back. Like, nah, you ain't gone for the cause. Baby rock and Carla.
Athletes are individuals, and some come from the very social injustices and conflicts being protested. The Olympics is supposed to represent unity, yet does not allow pointing out inequities in society.
And then we have Teresa Stewart says, it's definitely not a good look, I believe she means, for an organization to take that type of stance. It's very discriminatory and unfortunate that execs think the ban is the answer. Philip Trott says it makes people uncomfortable, Jamel. That's what's wrong with it. Yeah. I mean, he said it better than I did. Bobby Singh says there's nothing wrong in peaceful protest. I think think the call is BS. What better stage to make a quiet stand than the Olympics? All righty. And
but I think they know that. That's why they're doing it, you know?
Oh, yeah. Sean Smith, Carla.
Wow, the timing of your topic today being yesterday, Bermuda celebrated 40 years of the general strike.
Yeah, it certainly did. Philip Trott says protesting during the Olympics is even bigger. These athletes are not as well known as big time professionals, and the Olympics is every 4 years. The average Olympic athlete risks much more protesting during the Olympics. This is very true. Many of them are amateur athletes in many respects, and really looking for some sort of endorsements to help them out throughout their careers. But that said, you still do have the established. Let's say it was the last Olympics that Michael Phelps and Usain Bolt were involved in. That would have been a challenge, right? That would have been a challenge for the Olympics, because those were the two big draws, like it or not, for the layman. I'm not saying that the others weren't great, But for people who don't necessarily follow track and sports like that, those were the two people that people were tuning in to see, right? So it's interesting. Teresa Stewart, Carla.
It's like when Justin Timberlake let Janet Jackson take the heat for the Super Bowl, then apologized last year.
What was that, like 18 years later or something?
Oh, I was gonna say Nipplegate, but you knew that part.
Yeah.
It's been a while. Was it 18 years? I don't think it was that long.
Yeah, it was a long
But
time.
it was a while ago.
And I mean, I can't. James Burt says right here, the band makes the stance more powerful. They shot themselves in the foot. I agree. Like when they try to shut you down and shut you out, it means you're making sense. You have something that's working, right? I don't know. I'm not an expert at this, but my hope is that someone in there has a conscience, or some people on that committee are convinced to think differently. But I think any athlete that believes in their cause, trust me, I know what it's like to have nothing and still put it all on the line, right? Go for it. Go for it. You know, look at John Carlos, you know, him and Tommy Smith. They're celebrated today. You know, I look at certain things that happened today and it's like, well, how will history remember you?
That's the thing. And even their allies, because even like, I mean, you talk about it with the fight you had, and I've said this before, when I look back to when you were, you know, really, really passionate in the fight, and I just didn't buy into it as such. And I look back and I'm like, flip, I should have supported the movement. You know, it wasn't about you, but the whole movement. And it's only now that I understand it. So I hope that even allies or people take a step back and realize that they can be allies and support. I hope that they protest this ban as such, some way, somehow.
Yeah. I agree. It's there's some time. I mean, there's about 70 something days before the Olympics, right? There's some time for them to get things done. My hope is that athletes begin to try to get things done before then. I'm disgusted by it. I'm not an athlete. I don't know how majority of these athletes are going to feel about it. Remember, I haven't even touched on the whole banning of Black Lives Matter stuff. I haven't touched on that. We haven't spoken about that. We specifically spoken about just kneeling and putting a fist up, things that hurt nobody. And the reason I haven't touched on the Black Lives Matter stuff is simply because at the end of the day, it really is about country. I remember years ago, FIFA. Remember, players used to be able to take their shirts off and stuff like that. They banned that kind of thing. I don't agree with it, but that's pretty much the norm, right? Again, like, we can challenge these norms. Don't get me wrong. We can challenge these norms, right? But my biggest issue of everything is seriously just kneeling and putting up a fist. It hurts nobody.
The irony, though, it also shows the power of the movement, because why is that a threat? You know, that's so deep to me. Like, why is me kneeling down or you putting up your fist a threat? So they know how powerful this is, and I guess they feel it would be a distraction, maybe even to the Olympics. But if people know their power, I wouldn't even watch it because of this. And I used to like watching the running, especially. I'm not gonna watch. Yeah. You know, there are different ways to respond.
All right, well, you heard it here first. Carla Zul is banning her eyes from the Olympics, folks. She is so. I mean, I haven't made a conscious decision yet, folks, so give me time. Michelle White, to point out BLM specifically, especially as it had become a worldwide phenomenon, is inappropriate. Well, that's the thing. I'd like to know who's on these committees as well. Let's go through these final few comments before we get to the news break. Carla, Philip, try.
I think whatever happens to any punishment that happens, I think whatever happens to any punishment happens to athletes will be reversed when history is reviewed. History will not look kindly on the Olympics for this. Look at how Jim Thorpe got his medals returned to him after his death.
Carmen Mitchell-Jones, when the medals were given back, there was no fanfare. Both gentlemen went on to be successful with struggles. I believe Harry Edwards was the professor that helped to plan the silent protest. Teresa K. Stewart says, love I went backwards, right?
Atta girl.
Good day, Bermuda girl. I mean, come on now. She says, no, you take this one, Carla.
I was gonna wonder if you could vocalize that. Love seeing the cute footballer take off his shirt and expose them abs. I'm with you, T. I was gonna say it, but I was like, nope, behave today.
Philip Trott. Let's get back to our conversation, Phil. The girls just see how they do it. I think whatever happens, any punishment. We read that already, didn't we? Oh,
yes,
no.
you must have went. You went on and came back up.
Okay. All right, let's go to the news break. Don't forget, when we come back, we're gonna discuss this article. If you haven't seen it, it was an article on Burn News. Vic Ball, the former OBA Senator, written. So let's get into that conversation and really dig deep as to what's going on in Bermuda as it relates to how the government is handling COVID. Carla, over to you.
Questions have been raised about the impartiality of one of the 12 jurors who convicted Derek Chauvin of murder after it was revealed he attended a rally last summer where George Floyd's relatives addressed the crowd. A photo posted on social media shows Brandon Mitchell attending an August 28th event in Washington, D.C. to commemorate Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech during the 1963 March on Washington. It shows Mitchell, a high school coach, standing with two other men and wearing a t-shirt with a picture of King and the words, "Get your knee off our necks," and BLM. He was also wearing a baseball cap printed with Black Lives Matter. Mitchell has admitted the photo is of him from that date, but defended attending the rally, claiming it was not explicitly a protest against police or a commemoration for George Floyd. No Diet Day was first started by Mary Evans in 1992. The purpose of the day was to help men and women around the world to appreciate their own bodies. Having gone through anorexia herself, Mary began Diet Breakers, which is her own organization. She then created the first No Diet Day, bringing attention to the cause and, of course, her organization as well. Now the day is used to tackle tough issues regarding diet and body awareness, focusing on a number of agendas, which include educating people about the right to diet responsibly and effectively, having all people take a one-day break from their diets, and celebrating the diversity of body shapes and sizes. Turning to weather, the temperature in Bermuda is expected to reach a high of 76 today. New York City will see a high of 64, and Porto, Portugal, a high of 65. That's your Daily Hour news break.
All righty, Carla. So it's non-diet day?
Yes. So you can go ahead and have your donut for breakfast.
No. I'm on this. Doctor's got me on this protein drink stuff, so I'm full to lunchtime right now. I can have my potato chips. I mean, fruit. We're going to take a quick break. I'm having fruit, folks.
You look like a fruit today. You look like a strawberry banana smoothie.
That's why you don't have one of these.
Hi, I'm Karen, a nurse at the old folks home. These long hours used to kill my feet until my hairdresser told me about a great place to buy a pair of clogs. Medical House. Finally, relief. They also carry uniforms in bright, bold colors. And not to mention the support stocking.
Karen, Miss Soltis bet her bet again.
Oh gosh, these days, I need all the support I can get.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dendy Town Field, number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke.
For almost 150 years, John Barrett & Son have been the home of Bermuda's best beverages. They are proud to offer us the sparkling portfolio of Sunkist sodas with their refreshing rainbow of fruit flavors. Sunkist has flavors that nostalgically remind us of the bottled soft drinks we used to call minerals. The colorful thirst quenchers that are perfect for a beautiful summer's day. This month we're featuring the original Sunkist Orange Soda and new Sunkist Zero. Orange soda with no sugar and no calories. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
All right, welcome back to the big show. She's Carla Zul. I'm Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by Medical House One Communications, Lindos, and our friends over at Channel 82, where you can stream this and many other locally produced shows. Well, Carla, did you have a chance, audience, did you have a chance to check out the article by former OBA Senator and candidate Vic Ball by any chance?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it's on Burn News, and it says Vic Ball on vaccinations, politics, and more. And he starts off with a Nelson Mandela quote, basically, when a man is denied the right to live the life he believes in, he has no choice but to become an outlaw. And pretty much, just to give you a quick synopsis of the whole entire thing, summarize it, is he's challenging the PLP, a party that he's basically explaining was built on everything that this government's going against with COVID. He's challenging them on that. So basically, he's saying your party was built on everything you're actually going against right now. That's what I would say it pretty much is about. Well, I actually agree with a lot of stuff he's saying, right? I do. I guess my challenge, though, while I agree with a lot of the stuff that Mr. Ball is saying, my challenge, Carla, is that, and this was my challenge with the PLP when they were in opposition. My challenge is when we have conversations every day on this show, my hope is that we're having these conversations like we did just now, and we're trying to find what's the solution to these problems. So just now we spoke about the Olympics banning peaceful protests, basically. The solution to that is, one, protest anyway, or fight to get, find out who's on the committee and, deal with it that way, right? Because probably, I'm just going to go on. There's probably no conscious people on that committee that would do anything. So we're discussing the solutions as we discuss the problem. One of the things when I read these op-eds, and we're talking about Chris Famous used to do them a lot for the PLP, Vic Ball's been doing them a lot for the OBA, is I'm looking for the solutions in it. I'm looking for you to really spell out to me. Forget about whether the PLP takes your idea and uses it, because it's not about them. It's about Bermuda, right? The overall well-being of the people of Bermuda. While I agree with his criticism, his critiques of the Bermuda Progressive Labour Party's handling, specifically about the vaccine, right? Creating this us versus them and two Bermudas, right? I don't necessarily think that's what their aim is, but that's what it's doing.
Right. I'm
missing the point with Mr. Ball as to what would you have done differently? What should be done differently? I want to, maybe I missed that part, but I agree with most of what he said in it.
See, the splitting is the problem I have an issue with, or saying, it's doing the vaccinated versus the unvaccinated. But we went into that yesterday as to why I think that ideal as such or perception exists. However, you asked a question a couple of weeks ago and you were like, if the OBA was in power, do you think that they would handle this any better? And my answer still remains the same, which ties into the solution thing of no, because these are new waters that everybody is chartering. And I don't know if, not based on anything that I see, besides, Michael Dunkley did that interview and he made a lot of sense, but would they have handled it any different? So it's fine. And we do this as a society. We criticize, we all do it. We criticize, but what are we bringing to the table that can help it be better? Because at this point we're in a national crisis. And so I would think this is definitely a time for the parties to come together to find viable solutions, right? And I don't think that there's any that can be offered. And that's just how I feel. I was watching the news earlier. The two stadiums, you're the sports guy, Jamel, they're now doing split seatings. The two New York stadiums, they're doing split seatings, vaccinated and unvaccinated sections. So the difference between whether you get the vaccination or not is a rhetoric worldwide. So is the government really doing anything to cause a divide? Or is it because some people, no matter where they stand on the spectrum, are so against the opposite end that it feels that way?
But I think, you make great points, Carla, because I think what people have to understand is there are, and we may have spoken about it on the show, there are legal forms of discrimination to protect people, right? We must discriminate to protect people. I think people get caught up into the idea of, oh, I hate all forms of discrimination. No, sometimes we must. And I can give examples. I gave one, I think, a couple weeks ago. Like, at the end of the day, if you own a business, right, and you're hiring for a cashier position, chances are, if someone applies for that job and they've been convicted of stealing, you're not going to hire them in a cashier position. That's a legal form of discrimination, right? Mm-hmm. So that's to protect your business. See, I'm not even using the extreme one I used before about a child molester applying at a daycare. But there are many forms of legal discrimination in the interest of protecting things and people. And that's what I'm trying to get people to understand. Like, as a person who has fought against forms of discrimination that the majority of you all still think to this day was okay, let's not go there. But I've done it. I get it. I get people who feel discriminated against. I get it. But at the end of the day, getting back to the question, I would disagree with Carla that I do think there are solutions to this. And the solution is in what I think Vic Ball may have mentioned, right? Is I think education is the key. I'm going to tell you what really bothered me the other day from the Obama family, right? You all know I was very critical of Barack Obama. I wasn't a big Barack fan, but then, you have Trump following him and you're just like, man, he weren't so bad. But anyway, when I was in the car driving and I heard this commercial, and it was Michelle Obama basically trying to convince, no, Dawn, we're not promoting other entities, sorry. Well, she was trying to convince through a commercial that people should get the vaccine and this and that. And I'm just like, there's got to be some liability to this.
Yeah.
There's got to be liability. So I have a problem. You and I have spoken about the vaccine. You have never, folks, if you've heard me say it, please call me out. I have never promoted the vaccine. I haven't said for or against. I'm not here to tell people get the vaccine. I'm not here to tell you not to get it. I'm not going to do that because I believe that if educated, people will make the best decision they believe for themselves.
Right.
I'm not doing that. So I have a problem with the Obamas doing that. And I would have a problem with anybody in Bermuda, in government or elsewhere, trying to promote it when in truth, there's just not enough information. It is still trial period.
But being devil's advocate.
Hold on, let me touch on this real quick because this is the big one, Carla. People are saying that, but it hasn't been approved by the FDA. Do you know how many things have been approved by the FDA that have harmed you? Are you really going to use the FDA as your barometer, folks?
Viagra.
This is a silly one. But you get what I'm saying? It's like people are making something so convenient for their own arguments.
But being devil's advocate, right? And maybe I'm just in some ways just a little too logical and conservative, as you always call me. But we are in a time, spin the globe and stop it wherever you want, right? Most countries are in crisis. I just think the desperation for the economy, for example. Again, I agree with you 100%. And I tell people, I've lost a close relative because of this whole vaccination thing versus unvaccination, right? But in desperate times, I think, and I tell you, I don't like the whole pushing the vaccination on people, but I think that it's desperate times, and maybe that's the only rhetoric that governments around the world, because I've seen it in different places where they keep saying, I saw something in Canada the other day where they were like, the vaccination's the only answer. So being fair to the government, they're not the only ones that are pushing that narrative, right? But we say that we want economies open. Back to the Bermuda context. We say we want the economies open. People want to get back to work. But then they're saying, well, this is an option. And you don't want to hear that either. No, it's some people who don't want the vaccination, but are willing to be compliant with what it takes to not spread it. But then there are others who don't want to be compliant and still participating in activities or actions that help to spread it. We can't have it every way that we want it. So I think the calling for the vaccination, although it's not the rhetoric that I agree with, the narrative, I think it's out of desperation, because how are we going to get back to normal? We have to decide what we want.
Interesting. Sean Smith said governments are just following WHO's instructions on dealing with COVID. Talent Clark, Carla.
At this point, everyone complaining about provided possible solutions to not provide their solution only benefits the faux revolutionists. Do you only care about sharing your thoughts to prove your point, or do you care about people enough to provide an unbiased solution?
Can I answer? I mean, I know his just general question, but I think, do you only care about sharing your thoughts to prove your point? I think that's it, Talent, bro. I think that's it. I think that's the problem we've run into here. And I think many people would agree. I don't think people, with as emotional as this has been, I don't think people really care about being unbiased, or even that the solution might not be of their liking or their idea. I just think that's where we are. Bobby Singh says exactly, Carla. Tired of the tit for tat rhetoric. There should have been a bipartisan approach to the pandemic from day one. Sam Cat Plays says, while government is following the rules, they're still causing a divide. Both sides don't seem to want to come together, period, to provide a solution. Well, I want to go back to Vic Ball's article, because he says if the premier and his team were in tune with the people, he would appreciate this and be more effective at understanding. The PLP, formed in 1963 to fight discrimination, should not be the party to create a new class system or economic divide because a person has chosen to vaccinate or not to vaccinate. I disagree with that.
I think it's playing into it. I think it's playing into it.
No, I'm probably about to say the most controversial thing I've ever said on this show. I disagree with that highly, Mr. Ball, because I don't think that's what the PLP represents to me, a black elitist group, right? That pretty much wanted what the white people had and used the black struggle to accomplish that. And yeah, you all could get mad at me for saying that, but that's just how I feel, having been involved in the PLP, having seen how the PLP is operated on issues of social justice. You know, people make these complaints and these comments, and they say things like, oh, well, if the OBA were in power, they would have been out marching. Yeah. The PLP would use the struggle, the black struggle. So I don't necessarily, I hear what Mr. Ball is saying, but in my lifetime, you know, you can talk about the 40 years of the Union yesterday, but I don't see anything like that happening today because times have changed. So to me, a black person still under 40 for a few months, I feel like the PLP doesn't represent what people believe it was put together for. The PLP to me represents a black elitist class that wants to separate itself from the black struggle. It will use the black struggle to get what they want, but they're not the black struggle to me. When I look at the PLP, I don't look and see people who have struggled like me and my peers. I see people who have had good educations and probably couldn't have good careers, maybe because they were lazy or not, good at what they were doing, but I don't see people that represent the black struggle. I don't. That's me.
Lord have mercy, you all. I'll get a pass out because I totally agree with you. Like, I agree with you 100%. We really agree. But I agree with you. Mm-hmm. And but I also feel that because things are the way they are, like, why can't they come together And I know people make jokes about the 6 or whatever, but come together and let's solve this for the country. Because at the end of the day, these numbers, thankfully, let's hope they go down and dissipate. But this is where the voters, the electorate, all of that, they don't have time for all of this tit for tat stuff, period. People are starving. People are suffering, and it's time for people to come together and say, look, here's what we suggest. How can we make this work for the betterment of the people of Bermuda, regardless of where they stand on the political line? Because everybody's suffering, regardless. You got the elites up here, but across the board, everybody, black, white, green, blue, are suffering.
I still ain't seen a green person, but I take your point. I take your point. Keisha, Denise, Carla.
Monikish, the bottom line is you need to weigh the pros and cons and determine what is best for you and your family.
This is it. I mean, we say it all the time. Talent TJ Clark, and the vaccine will be approved by the FDA soon. The vaccine is approved by the EMA, though. Philip Trott, while the Obamas are promoting the vaccine, Jamel, Trump was promoting, I can't pronounce that word, but I get what you mean, the
hydrochlorine.
Yeah, whatever. Or whatever, it was disinformation while in office. That's part of the reason we're in the position we're in. This is not an Obama versus Trump thing. You guys realize they can both be wrong, right? They can both be wrong. Here's what people need to understand about me. I'm that person that's probably not going to like your favorite politician, regardless of what side they're on. I don't trust either of them to give me clean drinking water, folks. So they are both wrong to me. It's not a matter of who's being wrong the best to me. I don't like them. I don't think they have the best interests of us at heart. One is moderate, one's super extreme. I don't believe in the lesser of two evils. I provided examples of why I don't. I think it's a dangerous way to think. So no, I'm not that guy. To me, the treatment that David Burt will get as premier is the same that Michael Dunkley got as premier, the same as Craig Kennener gets as premier. I don't have an interest in this game. I'm not got stocks in that. It's my job to look at these things and see who is really creating legislation and policies to give me an opportunity to succeed at this life. I've been involved politically with a political party, and I did not like what I saw. Nothing about it made me believe it was about the people. Everything about it made me believe it was about finding out what they can get off of the people. Show me, tell me I'm wrong. Show me I'm wrong, please. I'm happy to be educated. I don't care, Carla John, who says the PLP is not going to like what you said. Sometimes the truth hurts. Sometimes the truth does hurt. I'm not here to please the PLP. The same way they weren't there to please me when, well, let's not go there. We're talking about something different today. Sam Cat Place says, I am Jamal, but the struggle is hidden with systemic racism. That's what is being fought now. All right. I'm not quite sure what she was referring.
She said, I agree. What you see? I agree.
She lost me with Jamal. I'm sorry.
He is focused.
What do you want me to articulate further, Rosalind Famous, who asks, can you articulate further than one that Jamal, just to understand your viewpoint? Tell me, speak to me. What
she means. I think she means in reference to you saying that the PLP is elitist.
Sure. We can spend all day on that. The PLP, to me, represents a group that wants what the white people have. When I see them out there in opposition, I know people's going to say, well, opposition is different from governing, but everything that you fight for in the opposition is everything you shouldn't be doing while in government. Make sense? So right now, if the PLP was opposition, I think I agree with Vic Ball. People be marching, led by the PLP and probably the unions, right? So that's what I mean. Look, let's be honest. There are some people whether it's through fraternities or sororities or politics, they achieve things in life, not because they're good enough or they earned them, but because of their politic or their brother and sisterhood.
It's a word.
It's I mean, it's there for all of us to see. I mean, I don't want to get too personal, which I could do, but it's not about making it personal. It's all clear for us to see. There's always been black elite politicians in the PLP that have lived way better than the people they're using to maintain what they have. Just go back. Look at the homes. Look where they lived. The pool and the dog. The black Labradors. Come on now. It's there for us. Tamara Richardson, Carla.
Oh Lord. Who are we coming together with if one person and his carefully selected inner circle are making the decisions? We elect people to represent us, then allow them to overextend that power to believe they're leaders.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But this is real. This is real. This is real. Like, I mean, let's be honest. If you look at the PLP right now with the Premier David Burt, right? And you ask yourself, of all 29 others, so it's 30 of them altogether, which of those people could you see risking it all, spending a day in a jail cell, getting down on a picket right now? Which one could you see publicly going against David Burt in the way he's handled the COVID situation? You can't tell me that all 29 people agree with him. Now, again, I'm not saying I disagree. I'm just saying you cannot tell me all 29 people agree with him. And remember what he said. I can
think of one.
Well, I haven't heard from him. Talk to me.
I think Chris famous. That to me, Chris is the embodiment of historical PLP. And I don't back down from that. I do think Chris famous.
Well, I would agree with you, but I don't think that his recent actions would show that. I think if you read his articles, they're very protective of the PLP. Now, personally, he may feel that way, but to protect the political party, I'm not quite sure he expresses that publicly. James Birch, caller.
Not enough people have recovered from this virus, in my opinion. The vaccine significantly reduces the number of people who will die or suffer from it. I agree with James. That's why tonight's going to be so interesting, because I do think decisions are going to be taken out of panic or urgency as opposed to the long-term well-being, which to some people would say would be a crash financially. So I agree with you, James.
Bobby says, Jamel for Premier come home. I have these chats often with people, and I was talking to a brother, very successful brother in the IB sector, for about 2 hours on the weekend. And we literally had a chat, and I've had this chat with many of my friends. Bermuda's got an issue. This is it. And I don't fall in her, so I'm not putting myself in her. But the smartest people in Bermuda don't get involved in politics because they actually have good careers and find other ways to give back to the country, right? They create opportunities for people through employment. They find ways to mentor and coach, right? But that's one of the biggest challenges with Bermuda politics, is that the people who will probably do the best job, they're doing other things that are helping their country. So what we're left with are people that can't find jobs. We're left with people that couldn't create opportunities. That's what the PLP reminds me of. Outside of, I said it on the show, outside of Chris Famous and maybe Renee Ming, right? And a couple others. Outside of those, many of the PLP MPs, right, hadn't really had real jobs or created opportunities, right? Now there's more. Obviously, there's 30, so more of them do, right? But I said this when we first began, probably last year. That should be a concern to people. Politics shouldn't be looked at as a career. Politics should be looked at as a service to the people who put you there. And I think Tamara Richardson just said that. Robert Thorne, Colin.
Going back to the bipartisanship, the PLP were involving the OBA into decisions that were being made, inviting Canada to press conferences, but it seemed to all go against the good that was being done to keep the island safe.
Yeah.
No, because Canada wasn't.
I'll say this. I honestly don't care if I offend people's family. I'm not going to call names, but go back and see how some of those people were living. Go back to see what they had. A black lawyer back then had it very differently from a black person who weren't a lawyer. If I'm not going to do it. Read between the lines. And I'm saying this in response to this on radio. Roslyn Famous, I meant about the PLP being funded by Black elites. Someone said to me, and this is a business person in the PLP, said this many years ago to me, that the reason you can't get buy-in from even outer people as to the social movement to end conscription is because you believe the PLP was founded on the things they tell you it was. And that struck home with me, coming from someone in the PLP. And at the end of the day, look, let me tell you something about me and me. I have sisters. I love my sister. Have a mother, have a father. What I don't do is defend bad behavior. If my sister, my mother, my father, my dear wife went out and did something publicly that was considered wrong, I am not the individual that's going to stand up and defend them. That's the other problem we have in Bermuda. We defend bad behavior because it's our family that we're talking about. Nah, bruh. That's not how I rock. That's not how I roll. Wrong is wrong. And if we had more people that understood that, we would be living in a better place. But too many of us want to protect our family and friends, regardless of how corrupt or wrong they are. And that to me, yeah, you can sip it. That to me is why these conversations are important. We're too busy protecting everything that's wrong. Carla John, I have never heard such an honest conversation about politicians. Refreshing. Tamara Richardson says the only objection will come from a person who knows they have the votes to take David's seat. That's historically the only time we hear dissenting opinions. Sonia Clark, Carla.
I suggest, but if the country was surveyed, would the people be able to speak in one voice? I'm of the opinion that Bermudians are unique and there is a big L in this whole situation.
I don't even see the whole one thing. I don't think having one opinion is necessarily great. We need various opinions and we're going to have separation. You know, I quoted this earlier this week, goes back to when Dr. Ewart Brown was on, right? As Dr. Brown said, when you're in politics, you got to understand that, you know, everyone's not going to agree with you. It may just be 51%, but that's the majority. Politics is a game of numbers, right? So you can't please everybody. You're never going to get everybody on the same page. Your job as the politician, right, is to do what you feel is in the best interest of the country, regardless of how the majority feels. It's not just to govern for those who vote for you or those who agree with you. But hey, that's no different in many jurisdictions. Let's see. We've got a lot of comments, Carla. You're pretty hot today, Carla.
Yeah, riled them up today, Uncle.
You're pretty hot. Good, Sean Smith, Carla.
Bermuda's numbers are 2429 confirmed cases with 30 deceased, equals about 1%, according to the government website. If you use population numbers, the overall number of cases would not even matter when you look at about 64,000 population compared to 2429 cases.
This has been said before. So, I mean, you say that, Sean, but does that mean that the government has been overreacting? Tariq J.D. Smith, we as people do tend to defend bad behavior, turn a blind eye because we look the same. I don't get that. I don't get that. Carla, we have to take a break. We have the Daily Play. Got to calm it down a bit. Folks, you don't want to miss this Daily Play. Stick with us because, man, you were on one today, Carla. Boy, you were on one. We'll be right back. Stick with us.
I'm the goods man.
Tune in to the Full 100 Radio every Tuesday through Sunday at 7 p.m. Bermuda time as we bring you the love, romance, sexiness with nighttime jams. Only on your station for conversations and entertainment. The Full 100 Radio. Download the app available for Android and Apple devices.
Righty. Welcome back to the big show. Carla Zul, I'm the nice guy, Jamel Hartman. And Thanks again to One Communications, Medical House Lindos, our friends over at Channel 82, everyone that continues to support what we're doing. Daily playtime, folks. You know what that means. It's that question for Carla, and she's going to need your help. Here we go.
All right.
This is another easy one. I think she's going to get this, folks. What is the world's largest non-polar desert in the world?
The Sahara? How about I don't even know what non-polar means. Just means not somewhere cold, right? That's what non-polar means, I would assume.
You know what? We're not going to go there because we're going to.
You don't even know the answer. But I got it right.
What's a polar bear, Carla?
Right. Okay. I was just checking. I suck at geography, but I didn't know that there were cold deserts. That's why that threw me off. Give me a cold desert. What's a cold desert?
You have different places in Antarctica. There's lots of land. So the reason they specify with non-polar is that people may, let's say, you know where the Sahara is, right? You know where the Sahara is? Do you know where it is?
In the Sahara, in Africa, right?
I mean,
yeah.
You know what? We're just going to give you the victory. I'm not doing this with you. I'm not. It's like I'm trying to.
Listen, the last geography class I took was in 1990. So leave me alone.
You know where Santa Claus is? You know where Santa Claus is?
Yes, it's from St. David's.
Well, yeah. Okay. I was. Someone said
you don't understand. Anything that didn't serve me a purpose, I let it go.
Someone said where I was going. I folks, she should have just left it alone. Just left it alone. She got it right, and she just dug this hole. Anyway,
who cares?
If you enjoyed today's conversation, folks, please give us a thumbs up, a like. Let us know how you felt. Carla, what are your thoughts on today's episode?
I wish you people would stop laughing at me. Gosh, boycott the Olympics, you all. Don't turn it on. Vic Ball, here's my hint thing. One sentence, few words. How do we heal as a country? That's what I would like to put out there. How do we heal? Because this vaccination, unvaccination, COVID, not COVID, miracle drug, not, is causing huge divides. How do we heal?
Interesting. I think there's a lot to what was said. As far as the Olympics, I'll be watching that closely. I encourage everyone to see what happens with that situation. In terms of the economy, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Regardless of how I feel about the PLP and their politics, I do think that David Burt and the government are probably doing a decent job based on what they're up against. Could they do better? Of course they could do better. Right? Of course they could do better. But I've said it weeks ago. I do think they're doing better than the OBA would have done. I do. That maybe I'm being unfair and unrealistic. I do sense a lot of hypocrisy in how they're doing things. I don't agree with how they're just telling people to get the vaccine. I think they've missed opportunities to educate people rather than marketing it to them. I think there's a difference between marketing and educating. But my hope is that Premier Burt and his team will, start listening to people outside of their circles to really, get the message or educate the masses, because I'm not quite sure this is going as best that it could. But in fairness, I think he's doing a better job than some of the previous administrations would have done based on how they handled other things. But that's just me being honest. Any daily inspiration for us, Carla? Of course she's got some.
Every day may not be good, but there's something good in every day. Alice Morse Earl.
All righty. Something good for every day. And as Terry says, every time Jamel sets Carla up for success, she goes left. Like, I really tried. Like I did. So
I was being honest. Okay. I'm not afraid to be the authentic me. I was being honest. I don't know this stuff. I got it right. That's all that matters.
On that note, we've got to run, folks. Thanks again to our partners, Medical House, One Communications, and Lindos, for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you. We love you. And we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again tomorrow. She's Carla Zool. I'm Jamel Hartman. My friends, make it a better day than Carla and that daily play. I'm sipping.